I'm so happy to see you here today and that you were interested in this free webinar, My Formula of Happiness and Creativity. My name is Dr. and Coach Christina Radics, and it's an honor for me to be sharing these things with you. Because what is life if we are not happy and if we are not creative? And I will soon tell you a little bit why I started to investigate in these things. So today, during this half an hour, you will be hearing about a formula that I developed that is called 3+5. So, but before we start, I would like to ask you this question. How happy are you right now from a scale 1 to 10? This is a really helpful question because happiness and joy, they are abstract feelings. And when something is abstract, it's difficult to evaluate. But once we put a number, it's much easier to see and reflect of how you are doing. And if you, let's say you're on a 7, then that after this webinar, you will be at an 8, 9, and you will have the tools to be at a 10. Are you ready? Let's go. So I will tell you a little bit shortly about myself and why I'm sitting here today explaining these things to you. So I'm originally from Sweden, from Malmö, where Zlatan is from. My mother is from Greece, my father from Hungary, and that's why maybe I look like a Mediterranean woman, Spanish woman. And I moved to Spain actually after my studies in 2005 when I was a dentist. I started at the clinic and I stayed at the same clinic. And after 6 years, I became an owner. And I was an owner of the clinic during 12 years. Let me explain a little bit how I was as a dentist, and maybe this will resonate with some of you. I was a people pleaser. I wanted everybody to like me, and I wanted everybody to be happy, from staff to patients, and I could never really find a good work-life balance. Work was on my mind 24/7, even though I had 3 children, husband, dogs. I couldn't let go of work when I was at home. And I was afraid of conflicts. I didn't want to have bad vibes. So that was my struggles that led me eventually to several periods of burnout. But the last burnout was really heavy, and that is how it works. If you're going through burnout and you don't change your mindset or your life, they will become heavier and heavier, and you could enter depression. That's why it's so important to take these things seriously. So in my last burnout, I decided to make a change because I realized that I would enter a depression if I wouldn't change. So I sold my clinic. I got help with these issues as being a people pleaser, not setting boundaries, trying to find work and life balance. And then I realized that this is something that we don't speak about. We don't speak enough about it in dental school or in dentistry. Now we're, thanks to God, speaking more about it, but we didn't do then. And I think we still have a lot to do when it comes to that. So I decided to become a coach to help colleagues all around the world with workshops, with speeches, with webinars, and one-to-one coaching. So that is my main job right now. So I made this transformation and I educated myself in coaching through International Coaching Federation. And I also went through a program that is called Presenter Mastery Program of David J.P. Phillips, where I have the honor to be affiliate. So if you're interested in improving your communication skills, please contact me and I can tell you some things that help me that I'm sure will help you. I also do workshops, and I am a DJ on weekends and as a hobby, more or less, because music has always been my passion. And I became DJ after turning 40, so I hope it can inspire you to never stop following your dreams. It's never too late. So let's start with our formula. So the formula is 3 plus 5, 3 secrets to mental resilience and 5 pillars of happiness. Are you ready? Let's go. So, but let's explain a little bit first. What is mental resilience? Mental resilience is your ability to bounce back, to adapt, to change, uncertainty, and setbacks. And those are things that we have through life, and we have through dentistry, but life in general. And what about happiness then? Is happiness a choice? Well, I read something that is really interesting, is that most of us, or everybody, actually have a happiness baseline. So let's say your happiness baseline is a 7, even if you would win $1 million today, it would go up to a 8, 9, let's say a 10, but after a time, it would go back to your 7. Can it change? Yes, it can, but it is a choice, and it requires effort. It requires having good habits and be self-aware. And that is what these 5 pillars will help you with. So let's go. Let's start to see what the secrets are. So the first secret that mental resilient people know. I will tell you this with the help of a story from Buddhism. There was this mother who lost her son. And she was suffering so much. She was in such a grief. And a man in the pueblo, sometimes Spanish words pop up, in the village, he said, please go and see Buddha. Maybe he could help you sorting out your feelings or help you with something. Because she was turning mad because of this grief. And she went to Buddha. And Buddha told her to go to seek and bring him mustard seed from a home where nobody had died. So the mother, went and she searched for a month and came back to Buddha and said, I couldn't find a home where nobody had died. And Buddha told her, that's the first secret to mental resilience. Suffering doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone. And I want to bring something really important about this subject, especially for young people out there. I am coaching a lot of young dentists, and I hear over and over again the same thing, that dentists are comparing themselves to others. They see on social media that everything looks so happy and perfect. And I just want to say that the reality is not that. We all suffer from different things. We lose people, we have diseases, we have different problems through life. And nobody is having this perfect life that we are imagining when we look at social media. So don't forget that suffering doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone. The second secret is this. Imagine this scenario. Maria comes into your clinic and she says, I want veneers, I want implants, I want orthodontic treatments, I want crowns. And you're just feeling like, yes, this month is saved. I will be able to pay all my bills. I will be able to go on vacation. But then Maria says, but I have already visited 7 clinics. And you feel like you see all the red flags in your mind and you don't feel so secure if you want to continue the treatment anymore. What do? The second secret for mental resilience is this. Will this benefit me or will this harm me? A person with mental resilience asks themselves first, will this benefit me or will this harm me? So before you take a decision, take 10 seconds for yourself and rethink what is best for you. The third secret is this one. Never forget that you have the power to decide what you want to focus on, where you want to put your energy. You can decide to put them on positive things, on good things for you, or you can decide to be in the negative part. What do you decide? Because it is true that you have the power to decide. But many times we forget that and we think that it's other people that have the power over us. But it's actually you. And if you choose to put your focus and energy on the 5 pillars of happiness, there's a higher chance that you will be happy. If you're at the 7, you will be at the 8, 9, or 10. So the third secret, what people with mental resilience knows, is that they choose where to put their energy and what to focus on. And here we have the 5 pillars of mental resilience and happiness. Self-care, mindfulness, ikigai, it's a Japanese concept for having a purpose, being part of a bigger mission, relations, and self-awareness. And we will go through each and every pillar. Let's start with self-care, that you can see like a chair, a 4-legged chair. What happens if you sit on a chair and one leg disappears? You will fall. The same thing happens with self-care. It's your baseline for well-being, for your well-being. First of all, sleep. How many hours do you sleep during night? Most of us know that we should sleep around 7 to 8 hours. But do we know why we have to sleep these amount of hours? We have not known this for so many years, but we know today that there is a system that's activated during night that is called the glymphatic system. And the glymphatic system is this. Imagine during the day, you'll produce about 1/2 liter of liquid and toxins in your brain. But these toxins, it's like poison, has to disappear. It has to be washed away. And that is what happens during night. You can see it like this. It's like a cleaner, a secretary, and a technician comes into your brain during night and repairs, puts everything in place, and removes what you don't need anymore. That's why sometimes when we go to bed, we have like a question, or we're wondering something, or something is bothering us. And you wake up in the morning like, oh, I can see it much clearer now. That's because of the glymphatic system. It has been washing away, it has been organizing your thoughts. And they have seen in recent studies that the cells, the brain cells, even start to predict what could happen. So that's why it's so important to have a really good sleep. But sleep is the first thing that's affected when we are stressed. Let's go to the other leg, nutrition. We know more or less how we should eat, and I'm not going to sit here to say how you should eat. But there is one thing that they have seen, that if we eat this, our brain actually grows and we get better brain activity, we get smarter, and we get much better sleep, a more profound sleep, better quality, and it even affects our muscles and our mobility. And that is magnesium. Another thing I want to say is that as a dentist, if you're a dentist who's listening to this, do you go out when you have lunch? Do you leave the clinic during lunch? Most of us will say, nah, I'm too lazy. I don't want to change my clothes. I go out. It's a whole project. I just stay in the clinic. And I want to sit and speak with my colleagues. And that is fine. But we should never underestimate just leaving the clinic, because when we are working in a small area, we will have a lot of cortisol because we are concentrated, and that is what is produced. Our stress hormone, cortisol, is produced when we have to be focused on a small area. But as soon as you go out, what happens? Your cortisol levels lowers, and your serotonin gets higher, and you feel relief. You can start to see clearer things. You get more ideas. And that, they have seen, is also caused by eating magnesium. It lowers the cortisol levels. Where do we find magnesium? We find it in several things, but most of the green vegetables, soya beans, banana, avocado, a lot of things. You can Google it, but and you can also find it in tablets. I take a tablet each night before going to bed in a glass of water, and it helps me to have a really profound and good quality sleep. Movement. What do we have to know about that? We know that people who move and train regularly, they live longer, they're much healthier. We know all that. But what also happens is this: we get much cleverer. And as dentists, we're sitting a lot. So that's another reason why we should move when we have lunch, a break. Just go for a walk and change environment as soon as you can, and on your spare time as well. Because they have seen in a study, there was one group that were sitting down brainstorming, and the other group, they were walking, brainstorming. Who do you think came up with more ideas and better ideas, more unique ideas? It was the group that was actually walking. And they have seen that this effect will stay for an hour after you have been moving. So if you want to come up with some great ideas, go for a walk. So do things you love as long as you move and strengthen your body. And that is something I want to say. If you're going to train and do a hobby, do something that you like, because then you have a higher chance that you will continue with it. Like, for example, dancing. If you like to dance, go dance instead of running if you're hating it. We will stay a little bit at the foreleg, because here there are a lot of creative things happening. And that, I think, is our biggest challenge nowadays: resting. When we rest, when our brain wanders, we feel like we are lazy. We feel like it's something wrong. And we bring up our mobile and look if we have got some new mail or social media, if something new has happened there. But actually, when we rest and let our mind wanders, that is where creativity sparks. Because creativity and inspiration is like a hiccup. It comes when you least expect it. Imagine when you get your greatest ideas. It's not when you're stressed. The opposite. When you're stressed, you get the wrong ideas. One time when I was really stressed, I got the idea that I had been cementing the crown in the opposite direction. Can you imagine what the stress does to your brain? I had cemented it perfectly. But when the patient left, I was in such a state that I felt I had done something wrong. But the other day when I saw the patient, everything was fine. So the stress actually makes us more stupid. And another Another, let's say, proof that stress is not good for us and letting the brain wander is this study that NASA did. They had 1,600 children between 4 to 5 years old, and they made this test of genius score. And they found out that 98% of these children had the genius score. They were geniuses. They followed the same group, and when they were teenagers, only 12% had the genius score. And the same group, when they were adults, only 2% had genius score. And imagine how children are. If we go back and think back when we were children, we let the mind wander. We saw things as if it was the first time we saw it. Look at the child when they're playing. They're inventing new rules all the time. They can say like, oh, this is an airplane and it's in the space, it has wings. You know, they let their creativity just explode. While the older we get, we put ourselves and we put everything in boxes. This is the way it should be. And we are more stressed. We don't let our thoughts wander. So how can we wake up the genius inside us again? Let's become children. But first of all, what is easy? Go for a walk while you're listening to happy music. And if you want to brainstorm, record your new ideas that pops up, because they will pop up. And if they don't pop up that day, try another day. Don't push yourself, because that is a stress factor too. So let your mind wander and rest between tasks. For example, between patients. Breathe. You can make an exercise between patients where you look at your fingertips while you're taking your hands, while you're moving your hands outwards. You can book in blank spaces in your agenda. What is blank spaces? There are spaces when you're not doing anything important or that takes energy from you, but you can write there, meeting with but actually you're not doing anything because you're investing time in yourself. You let your brain just relax for a while and don't feel guilt about it. Partner with actual kids. Do you have kids? Then you can ask them things. How should I treat my patients? And you will probably hear the most incredible stories, and you can play with them. You can build a puzzle, Lego, while you're brainstorming, and some crazy funny idea could just pop up that you have never thought about before. Another thing that is really, really important is our mindset. To have a positive mindset, to be optimistic, that will open up so many more doors, and you will also attract people with the same vibe. So the first part, the first pillar that was self-care is over. The 4 legs. That was, do you remember? Sleep, movement, nutrition, and rest. The second pillar is mindfulness. Mindfulness is more than just being meditating. Mindfulness is the ability to be in the here and in the now, because it's here where your life is. And this quote explains this a little bit better. To meditate with mindful breathing is to bring body and mind back to the present moment so that you don't miss your appointment with life. Because it's here your life is. It's not in the past, it's not in the future. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. It's here. Another thing that is important to know is anxiety, tension, stress, worry comes to us when we think about the past or we think about the future. Not so much when we are really present. Maybe when we are cementing veneers and crowns. But most of the times when we are really here and in the now, listening to the other person, listening to our team members, listening to our patients, then we feel relaxed. If we're working and we're breathing and being conscious about being here, we feel less stress. Mindful, deep breathing. When can we do that then? We don't have to meditate. We can do it during our work, while we're waiting for the lamp, while we're waiting for the composite to become hard. And also while we are writing the journals. But before it becomes a routine, we have to remind ourselves with the mobile, with an alarm, or with a post-it. It will not just happen because you have listened to me now. We have to set it, we have to remind ourselves. And it will take 21 days or 1 month or maybe 2 months until it's a routine and you will not even think about it. You will just be in the now more times in a day. We cannot be really present and in the now all the time. Maybe if we are monks and we have been practicing it for many years, but most of us, we are in the now and then we go back in the past or in the future, or we are a little bit stressed. But the important thing is to come back to the now as many times as possible. The third pillar is your ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese concept for having a purpose, being part of a bigger mission. It's not just being there for your family, for your children, paying your bills. It's much greater than that. To feel that you wake up in the morning and you feel that you have a mission. It's your reason for being, your reason to wake up in the morning. And it can change. And that is important, to be open and listen to yourself, because your purpose can change. It can change from one year to another. I will take myself for an example. Before, my mission was to take care of my patients at my clinic. But now my mission, my ikigai, my purpose is to take care of colleagues all around the world. It's to also tell my story, what happened to me and how to avoid burnout, how to avoid stress and have a happier life, how to be more creative. That is my purpose today. So what is your purpose? The way you can find your purpose is by doing this exercise. Do 4 circles. What you love to do, you write all the things you love to do in 1 circle. In the second, you write what you're good at. And in the third, what you can get paid for. And in the fourth, what the world needs. And in the intersection between all these 4, you will find your purpose. So let's start to do that today. Write down your first 4 circles and please write to me what you came up to. The 4th pillar is relationships. And this is the longest study that has been done in Harvard University, where they found out that during these 85 years, they wanted to know what makes people happy. What makes people happy? Is it money? Is it status, the profession, where they live, how many children they have, or maybe without any children, if they should be married or not? And they came up to one thing. The most important thing for happiness is to at least have one deep, good, true relationship with another person. To have someone where you can share your good moments with, your bad moments, where you feel that you can lean on and get help and share things. So that's why maybe we have a big problem today when so many people are alone, and because of everything that is happening in the digital world, there is a big risk that we get more and more alone. So go out there, call a friend today, ask them how they're doing, and if you should catch up. The fifth pillar is the last one, but I would say that this is the leader of them all. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is knowing who you are. What takes energy from you? What gives you energy? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Because if you know these things, you can work on them. If you don't know, you will be like a boat without a captain. And things will happen in your life without knowing why it's happening. It will be like the currents in the sea, the winds that will take you here and there. But if you know yourself and you know your goal, you know where you want to go, then you have a much higher chance to actually go there compared to a person who don't know himself or herself. So how can we get to know ourselves? The first thing is to write down your feelings. A very good thing to write down every day is 5 things we are happy and grateful about. That is the fastest way to happiness, to write down 5 things you're grateful for. We can always be grateful for things. And if you don't find anything, just by being here alive today, breathing is the major first thing. Then another thing to write down is, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What do I love to do? What gives me passion? What gives me a lot of good energy? And what takes the energy from me? Which person absorbs my energy? And why does this happen? And all these questions and writing it down will open a lot of doors and insights for you. So I'm very excited to hear about your journey when you start to get to know yourself, and you should always feel welcome to contact me and ask me any questions, or just tell me how it goes. So we have come to the formula's end, 3 + 5. So the 3 secrets people with mental resilience know are these. Suffering doesn't discriminate, it affects everyone. Number 2, will this benefit me or harm me? Number 3, people with mental resilience know and choose where to put their energy and what to focus on. And the 5 pillars of mental resilience and happiness are self-care, the 4-legged chair, mindfulness, our ability to be in here and now, ikigai, our purpose, why we wake up in the morning, relationship, that is the most important for a happy life, and self-awareness. If I don't know who I am, what I want, I will not go anywhere. So that's the first thing I have to know. And that is the formula of happiness. I really, really hope that you found this helpful. Please send me any feedback. I would love it. Really love to hear what you think about this. And if you have any questions, just contact me. I want to inspire you to dream big, to zoom out now and then from your life and think, Are my values and my purpose aligned with my goals? Am I living the life I truly want right now? If not, what could I do to change? If I'm at the 7, 8, what can I change to be at a 9 when it comes to the happiness scale? So I told you earlier that I modified my career from being a dentist, or I'm still a dentist, but from being a dental clinic owner, I modified and became a coach. But we hear the word coach, coaching, and we hear it so much, but we don't actually many times know what it is. We think maybe that it's somebody who will tell us how to do things, but that is more mentoring. And sometimes coaching and mentoring can be a little bit overlapped or intertwined. If my clients want to hear an advice, of course I will share it, but pure and clean coaching is this. Imagine that you're swimming in a sea filled with problems and challenges. What a coach does is removes you from the sea or from the river, so you have a distance and you can see your problems and challenges from a distance. You can see things clearer. But then we will not only stop there, we will continue up to the mountain where you will be able to see more solutions, new paths, patterns, and your way, your path will be much clearer to your real true goal. That is what coaching is about. Creativity is intelligence having fun. So never stop having fun, never stop being creative. I want to thank you so much for taking your time. And also I'm very grateful and happy that you took time to actually listen to these things that will help you, because this is about you, to help you get the best life possible and become the best version of yourself. Not only the best for others. It's not for the others, it's for you. So thank you very much. And you can always find me at christinaradics.com, where there is a link where you can book an appointment to meet me. And I would love to hear your story. And there is also a mail you can just write if you prefer to write. I wish you a wonderful day and take care of yourself. Bye bye.